Hey, hey, good evening. Nice to see so many of you. It's Crazy Monday. Play with me. All right, let's do this. Keep admitting. All right. Well, hello, hello. Let's give a few minutes just for some others to get on. Tell me something good. What's been going on over the weekend? Anybody have a hot listing that got lots of offers or new client came into play?
Got a contract accepted finally.
Oh, fantastic. What was the price point? What town?
900 in Marlboro.
Fantastic. Great job, Dave.
Thanks.
How long were you working with the client?
About 9 months, off and
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, hot and cold.
Okay.
Yeah,
And were you a lot of follow-up, or were they basically just responding to the auto emails that came out?
yeah, a little of both. They weren't too serious, but they just fell in love with this one. They had to have it, paid over asking, and they got it.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, Anybody else? Something really good. Tell me something good happened over the weekend. Listing sold, put a deal together, had a great contact, hit your contact goal. Anybody? I'll tell you what, I'm seeing some real challenges with appraisals. So just stay in great relationship with your clients. Once the deal's put together, it's not together until we're at the closing, right? So a lot of us I have a few agents that are on the other side of it where they kind of let go of the deal once, oh, the attorneys have it. Oh, it's gonna, no, you got to follow it. And we're gonna go through that when we get into future sections in this curriculum. But having the relationship with the clients, the agents, and even when it doesn't work out, I mean, it's not the agent's fault if something happens with the appraisal, right? We're trying to work together to make it come together. But all right. So just reviewing from last week's curriculum, we're just really, this is the next two classes are going to be finishing up understanding the market and then defining your value proposition. Because the way we really gain customers is through the confidence that we display inside the conversations we're having around their real estate goals. And the only way that you get to do that is you got to touch it, you got to see it, you got to know it, you got to study it, you got to talk it. So believe me, a client knows, even if you only have 7 hours a week to give to real estate, a client knows if you know your stuff or you don't. It doesn't matter the hours that you have that you can actually give real estate. I mean, we're all on our phones all hours of the day, right? I find myself just checking real estate, checking different sites, seeing if I find a house that maybe is out there in the wrong MLS for a client that I'm looking for. But I am always looking, and as an investor mindset, I am always looking. So just reading articles, keeping yourself in classes like this, even beyond the first time you take Ignite, you should take Ignite a couple of times and then take Bold. And as you hear other people's stories, if you don't have your own war stories, which you can borrow my war stories until you get your own, you listen to other people's stories. So then at a table, all of a sudden it's like it's appropriate for you to bring up a story because this makes sense. This could help me move the needle with this customer. If I just tell Kathy's story and just say one of our clients, or if I say, Chris's story and it's, my partner, we all work under the same brokerage. It's okay. We can call each other partners. All right. So, hello, Gabe. Nice to see you. Come on. Lovely to see you.
Hi, thank you.
So, what we're going to do is I'd like for us to just, those of us who maybe this is the first time on, maybe you just got to listen. But for the last two sessions, what is the biggest thing that you have gained as an aha? And in aha, we're talking about how is it making you think different? You know, what will you do differently because that's sunk in and you're like, okay, now that means I should go. Did anybody have anything that happened over the last two sessions that the light bulb went off and it really resonated with you over the last week? Anybody change activities that are things are starting to happen and you're starting to realize I do have to make contacts. I do have to be conscious of the contacts I'm making.
I think it's the repetitiveness. It's not just one and done. Like if you have a neighborhood you're farming or your sphere or whatever, you just got
It's
to
a
keep on it.
consistency,
Yeah,
it's a
every month,
pattern.
every 2 weeks, call, text, send them a handwritten note.
Yep, it's a
Like that.
rhythm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris Waddell, what were you going to share?
I was just going to say that about listening and then finding my moment to inject real estate into the conversation, not leading with it, not, blasting it, just kind of letting it happen naturally. And people are way more receptive to finding out that you're an agent and talking about it.
Great job. Great job. That's a great aha. And as you start to incorporate more of that listening to interject what makes sense that you're in real estate rather than just, hey, I'm in real estate and we want to get the conversation about real estate, you'll start to see that people will ask you questions. They may give you a call. Hey, Chris, I was thinking about this. You're still in real estate, right? And you're like, yeah, you get my messages, right? So it's going to be our job, to Dave's point, is to be consistent, repetitive. Gary Keller talks about it. Like success is boring. Success at a high level it's very boring. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's creating systems and models and letting them work for you. And while we're climbing the mountain to get there, we're in it, we're working it. It's nice to say, oh, the view is beautiful at the top. I definitely will tell you, yes, it's just much more enjoyable when there's others with you. And so as you build your business, please take some people with you. As you start to grow, whether it's just another agent that you have as an accountability partner, or you start to build and you get an assistant, take others with you, because that's what is so rewarding about this business, the people that we impact. And as you're a single agent, it's the buyers and the sellers, and it's the other agents that you can high five with at the closing table and have wins with. But it is absolutely about the people. So when we review those Y4C2Ts, which is part of our culture, the last letter is S, which is success through others. And if you can keep that in mind, like, who am I serving today? Who am I leading today? Who am I causing to make green choices today? Or who am I not, who are we making some red choices with? But always make sure you understand that in these transactions, you are the leader. The way you speak and how you respond to things is ultimately going to set the course for how they respond to things and how they see it. So even when you have to deliver some bad message, you may have to say, listen, good, bad, or indifferent. I told you I'd always tell you the truth, right? Okay, well, this time is like that time. Let's have a conversation about the appraisal, right? So, all right. We are going to dive into our material. So those who are joining for the first time, we are in session 3, which is connect with your market. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share. And for those of you who are looking for the materials, I have been sending out, if you've registered and your email is correct, you've been getting an email from me that gives you a follow-up. I was a little late on the last one because I couldn't get the video to upload. So usually you will have, let's just see, Ignite follow-up. You're going to see that it's pretty much all there for you. Now, the email that I sent you, and if you did not get that email, please shoot me a text message with that 908-675-5168. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. If you did not get an email and you're not on the email list, it must mean your email's wrong or it's bouncing or something. But in here, what I was able to do is upload the videos to a YouTube channel. Okay. So now, as I build out the channel, which is Mary with Olive, as I build out the channel, you'll see that there are playlists. Now, each of you have a YouTube channel because you have a Google account, and your Google account and KW, you got a free YouTube channel, all that stuff. So I would advise you, if you have instructional videos, even if they're just shorts and clips, and you'll see it makes shorts for you. I'm going to start filling this page here, but the playlist is Ignite 2023. So if you go into that, you're going to see that there are just 2 videos here. Session 1, and on the right side, where's the other session? Well, we'll get that fixed, but I know that there are 2 sessions that are in here because it's where I actually connected the other session to. Okay, but if you're going through your commands, you are going to go right through command, go through connect, and inside of connect, you'll go ahead and put Ignite 2.0, and you'll be able to get to those materials. And underneath, because this will pop up underneath where it says all assets, you'll see the student manual as well as the slides that we're going to be going through right now. Okay, so any questions with that on where to find material? If you need material, please go ahead and put it in the chat. Ashley has joined us, and we'll make sure that that gets out to you via email or text. Appreciate that. Okay. Okay. And once again, if you don't mind just changing your name in the top right corner of your box, you'll see like a 3 dots. You click on the dots and you'll go ahead and rename and just throw the letters of your market center in the front. You'll see, or in the back, like Gabe's from Spring Lake. You see By the Bay, Kathy. So just somehow just make sure we know where each others are from. And the reason why I say that is we have somebody in the Ocean Living office, which is Point Pleasant, who is taking a listing in Ventnor. I'm pretty sure in my office at By the Bay, we would maybe take a listing in Bloomfield or Nutley, but I'm not going to probably go down to Ventnor. So if I know there's a girl in our office that will list in Ventnor, which is kind of below our territory, I want to know that. And so we do see referrals go through market center to market center. Before you go looking for an agent, see if you can find an agent right here that might handle that area. Areas like Princeton, South Jersey, West, Hightstown, some areas that go a little outside of our zones. All right, so we are going to dive into connect with your market. Probably one of my favorite topics. Those of you who watch my morning show on Mondays, I cover the market. And today we dove a bit into the market and what that means, what's going on. So I'm going to show you some places that we go to, and really speaks to what's happening in the market. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? When will stuff change? And you guys should know how to read the market. So we started Spark Your Career, Embrace Your Job. Now here we are with Connect Your Market, and we will finalize this section of the Ignite materials with Define Your Value, and that will be Wednesday night. Okay, so diving into knowing your market. Gabe, while you're on, do you mind reading this out loud for everybody?
Yeah. Here's the truth. If it has been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be possible in your world.
That's right. That's right. So there's a myth that says, oh, well, it can't be done in my market. No, it can. It's just how can it be done in your market? So if you see something that's happening around the country or the world and you're like, oh, I'd love to do something like that in my market, challenge me. I bet you I'd love to have a little session with you. We'll figure out how it can be done in your market. Okay, but first you need to know your market, and knowing your market, connecting with your market is all about research and preparation, as it says. Research and preparation, and I want to hear from you guys. Where do you go to learn your market? How do you think you get to know your market? Tell me some of the things that you're doing to know your market. Just unmute and shout it out. Let's just be respectful of each other.
So I don't, I don't,
Go ahead, Sarah.
I don't
We'll go
typically
Sarah,
get-
then Jeff, then Joanna.
Okay. I don't typically get to go to all of the office meetings, but when they do have a virtual meeting, it's great if one of, like Greg Wareham or one of them are talking about the market. Also, they send the tidbits in the emails we get.
That's
So I like to look at that. Also, there's something called, I forget the name, it's list reports, TD something,
List reports. Mhm.
and that also has some information that you can actually read and get the knowledge about it, and then also share things with your client.
Great, thank you. List reports is something that some of our loan officers provide, and it's got a great read. Also, RPR, you all have RPR access, which is through your mo.flex. And when you go in there, you'll see RPR. You need to set that up. I'll show you a few. Jeff, you had your, and then Johanna. Jeff?
I was looking at, the MLS, of course, going through that. And then I tend to read through Zillow, Realtor.com, more to know what the buyers and sellers are thinking, because that's not always realistic, but that's kind of what you come up against when you talk to people.
Thank you, Jeff, for absolutely pointing that out. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's see what Joanna has to say, and then let's talk about that a little.
I was advised to go see everything that's active in the neighborhood that you want to farm, right? And get familiar with. And even if you don't have a buyer, just go drop your card off and preview the property.
Absolutely. So previewing properties is way better than just looking at them on MLS. However, studying the MLS and really getting a good feel for what neighborhoods and what sections, looking at the map views, and I'll just dive on there in a few minutes when I show some tools. But you can really learn a lot from just looking through the computer. Getting and touching and feeling and getting out there, great. Sarah, love that. Go into the office meetings and hearing what the different markets are doing. And then there are virtual logins. So almost every meeting goes virtual. It is great to hear what's going on at the Spring Lake office meeting or at the Monmouth Ocean office meeting, because they're talking about different markets and what's happening. I learn a lot because I get to go to all of the office meetings at times. And it's just interesting to see the different product, the different agent, the different needs for each different market. And we're just in a very densely populated New Jersey where pretty much we can get to all of our offices in about 20 to 40 minutes, right, Ashley? 20 to 40 minutes, we could be anywhere. So here's what I want you guys to look at though. There is, and I'll show you how I look at it. There is a macro market, a metro market, and a micro market, right? There is a worldly market going on. There is a United States market going on. There is a New Jersey market going on. There is a Monmouth County, an Ocean County, a Middlesex County market going on. There's also a waterfront district of Perth Amboy, a Monmouth Heights of Manalapan, a Freehold borough of Freehold, but then there's also what side of the borough and what section of the borough. Those are all different micro markets inside of metro, inside of macro, right? So when you can talk to somebody, a seller, buyer, but a seller, when you're looking to price properties and you're sharing with them what goes on in this macro market, which I like to reference as the United States, and then go into some New Jersey stats. When we sit down and talk about your house, there's no way you could tell me it's totally different than anything that's going on in this market. Everything that you just showed me, no, but my house is so different. Now, there are some situations, but in general, the market is speaking. The market is telling us. We're just the messenger. Okay? So when we look at the macro market, here's a tool that I love to use. And as a very young agent, I mean, I started when I was 26. I really had no business telling anybody what their house was worth. Didn't understand finance or bank accounts or loans or any of all that. All I knew was I was great with customer service. You know, a guy who was my best customer told me I was great with customer service and I should go make a $10,000 tip instead of a $10 tip. And I then quickly realized I could not go out there with confidence if I didn't know these numbers. Like I knew restaurant back and forth. I knew sculpture, art back and forth. Put me anywhere, I could thrive, but real estate was so foreign. And for some of you it may be that foreign. And for some of you it might be like, no, not foreign, but this area is. And so the first place I always go to, and it comes out a couple times a year, the first place I always go to is state of the market, the vision speech that Gary Keller puts out when we have our conferences. Now, Gary puts it out a couple times a year because what he likes to do is he puts it out for family reunion and then he puts it out again for mega camp. But what's cool is we got some other things in between. So if there's ever a time for him to update these slides, you bet your butt he's updating the slides. So occasionally we'll get 3 of these reports a year. And just for numbers sake, I was looking at the one that I received for family reunion. And these are the numbers that drive the real estate market. Any market, period. But these are the macro numbers, right? What are the home sales? What are the home prices? What's the total volume in the market? Is the volume rising? Even though we're selling less houses, are we selling more money? Yes, we are. Inventory, how much is available? Mortgage rates. Now, those were always the 5 right there. Well, actually, no, number 3 wasn't one. Affordability was up there. We never looked at the total market volume because we didn't have this crazy burst of inflation in the prices. Only but once. So, just to share with you my favorite slides in here, this one right here, right here, okay? Home prices, 1990 to 2023. In 1990, I was, I don't know, 12 years old riding a bike in Monmouth Heights. I had no business telling anybody what the real estate market was going on then. However, it's my business. If I'm going to be advising somebody, I really should know what happened in the 90s, the 2000 new construction build. And then we had this bloop. If you see the bloop, who was in the market then and can explain what happened in that 4, 5, 6, 7, starting to go down 8, 9, 10, 11?
The mortgage
Anybody on?
crisis. Yeah, the mortgage crisis hit. All those 110% mortgages, shady mortgages going on. No doc verification.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that was a time where you were able to borrow money.
Yep.
And we laugh because we know some people. We know some people on the screen. I know we know some people that bought houses. They bought houses at 100%, 100% with owner financing. So they bought it at 106% because they were able to get the appraisal to be more than what they were even paying for. So the bank lent them 106. Dave said 110, 100. You know, it was crazy. So now you buy the house for $500,000 and they wind up giving you $530,000 mortgage. Well, next month it's fine because it's 530, 540, 550. It keeps going up. The values keep going up. But then what happens? Short sales, right? Because the people who bought the houses, the ARMs started to come into play. And this is not a mortgage class, but adjustable rate mortgage. Back then, people were also getting themselves into products that 5 years from now, the mortgage payment, it's going to go from like $1,600 to like $4,200. But that'll be okay because it's going to be 5 years from now. Well, 5 years from now, if you look at the chart, 5 years from now was 2009, 2010, 2011, which take a look at that. Down, 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 because lots of people who bought over here in the height with all these great hopes that they're going to stay in their house. And by 5 years from now, they're going to be able to pay that $4,000 payment, or they're going to be able to refinance. Well, guess what you need to refinance? Great credit. You also need to have a job, an income. So when all that stuff is happening and you can't refinance, and now you're in this mortgage payment that's $4,000, what do you think people did? They just walked away from their house. They literally took the sinks and the cabinets. They took things out of the house that they could use in their next house. And they went and they walked and they got a rental. We would advise them, guys, we would advise them to go get a rental right now while you don't have a short sale listed on the market when they go and look up your address. Go get a rental right now. And then we're going to put the house on the market and do a short sale and we'll figure all this out. That's the kind of stuff we had to do in order to get people into shelter. And then they would let go of this house, and this house would be $800,000 yesterday. But because of all this short sale and the pulling the stuff out of the kitchen and the toilets and the whatever, and I'm going to take this window. Now it's worth $350 on the MLS, and you got to get third-party approval, and the banks all got to get involved, and it was craziness. And don't think that we shouldn't be skilled to do that now, because there are so many loans that are still in forbearance. There are so many loans, people that said, I couldn't pay during COVID and I can't pay now. And guess what? That didn't go away. It was just deferred. And maybe things are catching up with some people. So I actually just saw 2 short sales on the market today. And I was like, third-party approval. And the agent was literally explaining in the notes what that meant, because we haven't seen short sales in so long that somebody might not know what that means. And so we can have a whole class on short sales, but that is what happened is the market crashed and then prices went down. And so if you owned a house in Kentucky, Alabama, New York, New Jersey, California, it didn't matter. The whole entire country was having short sales. And then the market started to come back, as you see, in 2012 and 13 and 14. It started to come back. But the truth is, if you see that blue line is the 4% trend. And at any given time in history, and you could take this out into the 70s, and you can see this trend line, it's been about 4% year over year over year, anywhere from 3 to 5% that the house increases until we had all this crazy lending. And the cool thing is, we have a Canada report. Canada doesn't have crazy lending. Canada lends 50% to have 50%. You want to borrow $400,000, you got to have it. $400,000. So Canada didn't have the Fugazi kind of lending going on. Therefore, Canada's market is just a solid, stable year over year. It's a very small increase, but it's probably a 4 or 5% increase year over year. So now when people who did not sell or do anything, but they bought their house in 1996 was still a stable market. Now they go and sell in 2023. Are they making out or are they losing?
They're
They're
doing
making
okay.
out. Yeah, they're
They do
doing
well.
okay. They're doing okay, because had they sold down and they got forced to sell in 2012, let's just say, because somebody got a job or job transfer, they might have been losing money. But anybody who's still in their house and they bought sometime before 04, 05, all right, whatever. You just didn't play roulette in the craziness. You waited out the market and you're back on track. So this is something that always helped me put things in perspective, even though at 26 years old, I came in and it was 2005. I was a young agent. I needed something to lean on. The other thing is mortgage rate. This one right here. This should be in your presentations. When you're talking to somebody, you should just know it. Because yeah, over the last 10 years, we have been at less than 5%. No other decade did we have that experience. These decades are decades of an average of 7.81%, 5.97%. But nowhere is it under 5% except for the last decade that we just had. Okay, so when we put rates in perspective, this is what happened since January of 2016 to 2023, where it spikes up in October of 2022 up to the December 22 up to the 6.9. Okay, so, and the reality is, even at 6% or 7%, it's nowhere near the height of the market in 1980, 82, which was 16 to 18%, 12 to 18%. Interest rates, guys, 12 to 18% interest rates. Okay, so once again, then there's the Canada. So that always shows me what is the macro market. That is the macro market. Right? And then what we could do is we can go into New Jersey. So, or maybe you just start with Jersey, or you have that one slide. When you go into New Jersey, every single one of you have the ability to set this up. Ashley, if you want to go ahead and put this site in the chat, it's njrealtor.com. And then you do a login. You have to use your NERDS number. But this is the site that I showed you guys. Joanna, you have a question?
Yeah, where do you get those slides that you were just showing? Where do we have, how do we access them?
So one other place that you can find it is in the Facebook, in the KW Family Facebook right here. If you're not a member of this, please go find this. Ashley, if you want to put that there as well. What I would say is in the files section, I have dropped a lot of files since I got here in March. You can see Mary Beth Olive. So I am positive, like here's Vision Speech 2023. It's right here from February. That's the one that we're looking at. And if there's a new one that I find, I'll go ahead and put it in there.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. But always check this page here. This is where I go live on the discussions for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. And then I'll always put files here because this is the one for everybody. Those of you who are just in Staten Island, because I think I might have one here, you could always just ask us for it. Okay. So then when you go to the New Jersey one, though, you go to njrealtor.org. Oh, wait, that's not the right one. Hold on, where is it? Right here. njrealtor.com, sorry. And you log in, and on this, I click on research. And in research, you're going to see lots of different reports, buyer seller reports for New Jersey. You guys are going to want to dive in there and do your research. Monthly housing market statistics. So when you click on that, it says realtor only. That one right there will give you, and I've done this before with you, at a snap, you'll get the entire state of New Jersey. And year over year, we've had a decline in closed properties, 24.7%. However, we've had an increase in median sale prices of 5.2%. That has slowed down tremendously, guys. Over the last couple of years, if you were studying that, you would have seen 15% incline year over year on prices. So to see only 5.2% incline, that is that's slowing down. And once again, going back to that fast stats, if you want to do just Monmouth County overall, you can click Monmouth County and get a one-sheeter for Monmouth County. Now, Monmouth County is saying that year to date on single family homes, year to date, just through the end of July, we are down 22% in new listings on. We're down 21% in closed sales. And our median price is up by 3.2%. Okay. Townhouse is down, up slightly. And if I take a look and I just go over to Middlesex County to give you a snap on that. Units on single family down 31%, closed sales down 25. However, median sales up 6.3. And townhouse is down 50%, down 42%. But the price is still up by a slight 2.8%. So does that give you, Dave, you have a question? Hands up.
No, I'm just going to make a comment. That's
Yeah.
a really good sheet to show your buyers sometimes, because I had this conversation this past week. The market's getting soft, prices are dropping, houses aren't selling. I said, well, some of that is right, but not all of it. And not in Monmouth County, not in Middlesex County, not in Ocean County. So once you break down these stats for them and you show them that, yeah, not as many houses aren't selling, but the prices aren't dropping, dramatically. There's some pockets, yes, but overall prices are still increasing.
So
Yeah,
it's not just you saying it either. It's you actually showing some stats
Oh, yeah.
and some proof.
You can say it all you want until you show them they're not going to believe you.
Yeah. And even when they buy into it and they believe it, they still need a little reminder. Like, remember that chart we went over? Remember? Let me send it to you for your memory. So it's always good to have that to lean on as well. One of our agents here asked, do we have some in the report in Spanish? So we do have some stuff that is completely translated into Spanish, like Home Buyer Seminar, and also some other reports. I think it's a listing presentation. But we definitely, that is a big need, is to make sure that anything that is provided that you see, you could also get it in whatever language you need to make sure that your audience can benefit from it, right? So it may mean that you have to go out and recreate it. It may mean that you have to ask and you have to poke enough for it, but you should be conscious of that. If your audience only reads Mandarin, Chinese, well, you're not going to give them Korean. I mean, right? So let's be mindful of that in choosing our audience and knowing our audience. It's important that we also understand language could be a barrier. It also could be a great connector. I've seen agents that just speak a language and do really well inside of a culture that speaks that language because they're pretty much the only agent that's full-time and speaks that language. So understand, if you do speak multiple languages, make sure that you're putting it out there, that people know, you know, and that it's a true benefit. Okay. So going on with the other place to go is here, right? So is the MLS, and both MLSs, CJ MLS as well as the Monmouth MLS, have similar capabilities. And I want to encourage you that on my Monday calls in the morning, if you can't watch it because you're at work, just go into the Facebook and watch it when you can. But we have been floating at 3,000 listings for quite a while in this MLS. However, we used to have 10,000 listings, 8,000 listings. Okay. It used to be a lot of listings to choose from. So here's a few things. Number one is I encourage you go to do the quick search and it's going to then tell you how many listings. Boom, you got 3,022. You go and you click on your hot sheet. And something that I always do on a Monday is I slide down here to the custom hot sheet. I go ahead and click on custom hot sheet. And then you could put in your own criteria. I personally like to use relative days back, and I go 7 days back because every Monday I'm looking at the stats. So every Monday I'm looking at a 7-day period. You can search this however you want, date specific, county specific, municipality specific. But if I were to take a look at overall, just in the Monmouth Ocean MLS, what is happening right now in the last 7 days, and I hover over this right here, it's going to tell me that 766 new listings came on, and yet we closed 694. So 700 on, 700 off. And it also tells me pended 609. That is way closer than it has been because it used to be about half. So now it's like almost that many on, that many off, that many pending. And if you take a look, the price changes, there's 364 price changes. That means, if you remember from our quick search, there's 3,000 listings and there was 300 price changes. That to me says that we have about 10% of our market is taking price reductions. Now, some of them are price increases. There's a random price increase. A few weeks ago, I was one, so I know it's there. But the majority, 90% of those are price reductions. When you're speaking to a seller, we're going to reposition the house on the market, right? Which means we're going to take a price reduction, call it what you want. We're going to reposition it, right? And so language matters. If I say, yeah, we got to reduce that price, right away, I'm telling them that their house isn't worth something. I'm devaluing it. I'm calling it cheap, right? So when you say we got to reposition it on the market, we got to think about where it needs placed, where it needs to be placed, what rack it needs to be on. All of these things help you gain perspective, and it also helps you gain validity when you're able to really show, show your buyers and sellers, your sellers mostly, but buyers, they need to know what offer they're going to make, right? I mean, you should not be going in a house assuming that every offer needs to be over asking. You need to be doing a CMA for your buyers as well to see what is this really going to come in as an appraised value. Georgette, you have your right hand raised.
Good evening. I just want to ask, when do you have like a price increase? I've always heard about the price reduction, but never like a price increase. When does that happen?
Only when you have a crazy seller. There's no reason for it. No, I mean, when would you have a price increase? Anybody want to give a suggestion when it would be like reasonable for you to have a price increase? So a few reasons why you might see that is let's say the deal fell apart and there were some things that the seller needed to fix. The seller goes and puts about, you know, $50,000-$60,000 and does a few extra things. Maybe now it warrants that it could go for a little bit more. Maybe the market is, so in my case, I just had a seller that was not receiving the price. She felt like everybody was coming at her saying that it was too cheap. And I knew where I needed to keep my seller, which was on the market. So we had to put her at a price that she was willing to like let the house still be on the market because she really does need to move. So that was a special case. But also when somebody decides, you know what, I'm getting so much bad feedback on the deck, or I'm getting so much negative feedback on the kitchens and the bathroom, that honestly, I do think I should pull it off, put all that stuff back in, and then come back on the market with a better price. But for the most part, Georgette, it doesn't make sense. It's usually going to go down because the truth is you could put $1 on that price tag and the buyer is going to put the offer that they feel, you know, what the house is valued at. Kristen, did you want to share something?
Yeah,
Thank you.
only because back maybe 2 years ago when
Mhm.
everybody was like really super high bidding, I saw a few houses go increase.
Yeah.
And they had said it was because they had, and it was within like 3 days of listing, and they
Yep.
had like super high bids. And so the seller was like, okay, well, I want to put it, you know, say they started at 800, I want to put it up to 9 and see what else we could get, like greed almost. And I was just wondering if anybody has seen that. I don't think that
Yes.
happens often.
Yes.
Yes.
But you are right. And you know what it is? It goes to, and this is a good lesson though, just for us, is like the fishing rod. They just brought it to a different pond to fish. So that seller was going, and that's, you're right. They were like, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Like all these people are coming out with this offer. It's way over what my asking price is. Maybe I should have been on for more. Maybe I should, and you're right. It's the greed that like, well, maybe I should put it up and just with the same thing, they're gonna overbid. So maybe I'll get even more. And you're like,
Yeah.
come on, the market's actually speaking. Your best buyer is right there. They want it so bad that they're willing to pay X amount over.
Yeah. I
But
mean, just be done.
we did see that. We did see that greed really got in the way a couple years ago for sure. Now
Mary
I
Beth,
do think
I'm
who's
sorry, go
saying
ahead.
Mary Beth? Go ahead, Dave.
I have a seller right now that she gets 3 offers that are 300,000 under asking, and she feels that the reason being is that it's priced too low. So we need to increase the house $200,000 because Zillow
Right.
says so.
Right. Right. So you're dealing with my seller, I think. So and that honestly, this seller for me, she's like, well, you know, maybe the people over there need to see it. Maybe the people that are looking for 600 need to see it. No,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
and now I have to say, like, there is a bit of me that says agents are not really searching the inventory the way that they should be, because if you would just leave the price point so wide and just dive into the inventory, there's not much on anyway. So if you needed to look in, I was Perth Amboy, I think there might be 17 listings on for all price ranges. Be the agent that goes and looks at the whole town and say, okay, who's on the wrong rack here? But
Yep.
often agents don't do that. But the agents that don't do that, yeah, you'd miss the house if it was priced lower than what what it's really going to go for. Right? So you see a house that comes on the market, it's 450. Initially, we're thinking right now, we're thinking, oh, it's like a 510 house. Oh, it's 500 house. So somebody who doesn't even think they have a shot because it's listed at 450 to go up to 475 doesn't even go and see it. And so all this pricing, it's like pricing guesswork. As agents, we need to do a better job of guiding them the value, but then also get out of the way because emotion does buy. But you also need to know when are they overextending themselves and they're not going to be able to actually satisfy that contract. So if they don't have that money for the extra appraisal money, make sure there is something to protect them so they can get out of the deal. Otherwise, they might just lose that deposit money that's up there because that's what the seller will probably fight for as liquidated damages. Okay. So, knowing your market is really important. And those are the ways that I typically would look at it. When we think about the markets, there's 3 different markets, right? Buyer's market. And when we look at those graphs of the the state of the company, state of the market from Gary Keller, you'll see when we were in a buyer's market, when we were in a seller's market. You'll be able to see the inventory and the craziness that was going on. But a buyer's market means that there's 7 months of inventory or more. It used to be 6 months. Right now, I feel like we couldn't even get to 3 in any town. I haven't seen a solid 3 months of inventory anywhere. But typically a balanced market is that 4 to 6, and this is saying 5 to 7 months of inventory. And a seller's market is less than 5 months of inventory. So just shout it out. What market are we in?
Sellers.
Dollars.
Sellers. We are in a seller's market. We are still in a seller's market. And now, so with the mortgage rates to where they are, you know, more buyers have backed out, and more buyers have, you know, application numbers are in half right now, mortgage applications. However, it does not mean that your market goes away. It means that you just got to create enough leads to generate enough leads so that you will hit your goals. That's it. Okay. So we
And build
understand.
your own homes.
Yeah, go build your own homes. Why not? Get some lots, put some tiny houses on them. All right. So this is what it is. If there was a shelf and you had a lot of buyers looking for markers, right? But there's only one marker or maybe 2 markers, or this one doesn't have a cap, but we're still gonna charge full price for it. And this one is gonna go over asking, because you know what? All of you on the screen need a marker. Somebody's going to be willing to overpay for the marker with the cap. Somebody might be willing to pay market value for this dilapidated one that it might be dried out. You don't even know, you're taking your chances. And that's what these buyers are doing. They're literally like, oh, I mean, I'll take that one. I guess I could put a new front door on. I could add a garage, I could change out the bathrooms. We're good. Yeah, this is a great house. Oh, it's in a flood zone. No problem. I mean, that's what they're saying right now. So we have to kind of be a little bit, we have to understand that if they need a home, they need a home. Because guess what? If you own a home, you can always sell a home. Some people that are buying it cash and they're a little bit older, I'm like, you could take a reverse mortgage out. Once you get in and you're settled, when you really need the money, that could be your option. So it's not always, well, it's not a good time to buy, but it's definitely still a seller's market. It is a hardcore seller's market. Less than 3 months inventory in most markets. Okay. And inventory, number of properties for sale within a market. So how many homes are available? I just said, I think there was like 17 on the market for Perth Amboy. Does anybody know, and you can put it in the chat, anybody know what your market has? How many homes is in your hometown right now? Anybody know how many homes are in Manalapan? How many homes are listed in Freehold? How many homes are listed in Old Bridge? How many homes are listed in Jackson? Right? You just go to the MLS, you check it, you just do that run search, quick search, pick the municipality, and you find out, and you'd be surprised. Then you take a look and you see how many closed. One other thing inside of Monmouth MLS, and when you go into your menu, you guys have this really cool statistics. And in statistics, you click on the graphs, and it's going to show you your market trends. This morning, we were taking a look at just the last year. It also will give you the data, so you can actually see what happens. What was it like in last June? And now when you're taking a listing, you're able to say, okay, you know what? This was a good time, buyers. Last December, less buyers were out there, more listings came on. That was a good time to buy. And you're able to look at it a little differently. So, but inventory is what's available in the market. It's what the average number of days on the market that it stays. So how long does it take for the house to go under contract? Right? A lot of you will say 14 houses. Thank you, Dave. A lot of you will say that the average day on market is 3 days. Otherwise, like, there's something wrong with the house. There are some towns where I'm looking, it's taken 2 weekends for that seller to actually get the buyer at the price that they want. So is it 14 days? Is it 30 days? For the most part, we're seeing less than 30 days on market. And what is the average price of a home in the market? Now, is it the highest? Is it the median? Or is it the average price home? And that's a differentiator as well. And based on the inventory, what type of real estate market are you in? Are you in a buyer's market or a seller's market? Every single market I can tell you right now is in a seller's market. Interest rates and lender regulations. So we talked a little bit about that also in the chart. We're at 7%, we're at 8%, we're at 6%. That's what we are. It's what it is. Now, it has definitely affected the buyer pool. Somebody can throw it in the chat. How many buyers come off the sideline if the interest rate drops by 1%? Anybody know that answer? How many buyers come off the sideline and actually jump into the game if the interest rates drop by 1%? Anybody? 3 million. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. 3 million buyers are sitting on the sideline. That means even when the interest rates drop, it's going to be even worse on inventory shortage because more buyers will be out. So what can we really do? We can go encourage people to live their best life and sell and go onto their dream house. That's what we can do. Because nobody ever tells me that they're going to really retire in Jersey. So where do you want to retire, right? Dream with them a little bit. Economic factors. What is the biggest thing going on right now? Let me see. Yeah. What is the biggest thing going on right now that could affect the housing market? Government. The presidency. The election. Okay. Gabe, you were going to get it, right? Yeah, it's election year, right? So when it's election year, everybody gets really funny and things happen. And I don't know, because I don't think that the people are even the ones that are in charge are really in charge, but I don't know. Things happen and people hold off and buyers hold off and sellers say, oh, but it's election year. So there's a mindset around it that we're just going to hold off. We're going to see what happens after the elections. We also have a lot of people not raising the rate, right? Because they want to stay in the office. So you have a lot of things that people are doing for different reasons other than the right reasons that affects our housing market. Jobs absolutely affects our housing market. If Greg Wareham was on here, he would know these numbers. But I do have to say that there are so many people that are unemployed, and yet there's more jobs out there for them than there are unemployed people. We are at one of the lowest percentages of unemployment. I think we're at 3 or 4% in unemployment. Very, very low percentage of our population is unemployed. The ones that are unemployed don't want the available jobs that are out there, but there's plenty available jobs. So that happens to be a problem. What's something else that comes into play? Let's think about this. What is the average age of the buyer that's coming into play? What do they also come with? Yell it out, say it out, put it in the chat.
Baggage.
No, they don't come with baggage, Mark. They don't.
Their mother-in-law.
Their mother-in-law. They come with their mother-in-law. They come with no. They come with student loans. That's another problem, right? So you're young, 30-year.
Isn't that baggage?
Sure. Well, if you're paying it, yes, it's baggage. So they come with student loans. You have all sorts of stuff that student loans, I can't even believe where they are. I graduated college in 2001. I am just finishing now my student loans, but my loan was $129 a month. I have people in my life that their loan is $500 a month, $1,600 a month. I couldn't even fathom that. That's totally knocking them out of home ownership. So that kind of stuff absolutely is a factor. And so we got to pay attention to all that stuff. So to the point where I think it might have been Dave who reads the Zillow and the Realtor.com and the articles that are all out there. You must read articles. Inman Connect, Inman articles. Those are great articles. Real estate, Wall Street Journal articles. What's going on in the real estate market in the Wall Street Journal? You have a luxury end client. You better read that Wall Street Journal every day. You better read a page of the newspaper every day if you have somebody that's a high net worth CEO type of client, because then you got something to talk about. Because you can't talk about, you got to talk the language of the client and understand that. And you got to meet your client where they are and keep constant respect. So economic factors, has government made any changes, rules, regulations? Happens in our own cities too, in our own micro markets. Oh, nobody wants to buy there because they're doing a big development. Oh, everybody wants to buy there because they're bringing in a train. Oh, nobody wants to buy there because they're putting up a big building and it's going to be a factory and warehouses. So big trucks are going to come down. All of that will matter as to what's going on in your market. And the other one is just your neighborhood, nearby shops, restaurants, health facilities, neighborhood attractions. Your neighborhood numbers absolutely matter. What is going on in the neighborhood absolutely matters. Okay, so on deciding on the market and all of the aspects of the market and the factors, what ahas do we have around that? A prompt to
I
question?
like the aha about the 1% when the interest rate goes down 1% and
3
it cha-
million.
yeah, by 3 million. That was an aha moment. Yeah.
Well, so here's what could that create when you're having a conversation like that with a seller? What could that create for that seller? Some urgency, some motivation, a
Motivation.
frenzy. Like, so wait, you're telling me that there's 3 million more people that are coming into the market and there's no inventory. Let me get this on the market now. Let me get where I got, and why I'm saying that, because some of you are like, yeah, but they're selling the house. They got to go somewhere. So they should be like, if it's going to get even harder to find, what's the biggest objection from a seller right now is, I don't know where to go. What would I buy? Let me go see something first. Now, if you got a
I
seller
went
who's
through that
going,
last year when I sold my girlfriend's house, and she was a great example of probably a problem client. Really, it was good for my first sale because she wanted to sell in January, and then she got cold feet by March. She had started to do some things on the house, and then she said, "No, I'm going to stay." All of a sudden, a week. 12 days before Labor Day weekend, she said, "How quick can you get my house on the market? And we need to get this sold, and I need to get out of here and by October." And actually she got more money than the woman who had sold it when the market was really hot, right across the street, same house, but the woman across the street was a doctor and had redone the whole house. Yet I still got her more, like 20,000 over asking price. She got more than that woman did. So it was just timing.
timing is everything. When you're looking at the comps, guys, when you're actually comping out a property, I can tell you what the price is today. Tomorrow it may look totally different. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, if a house tomorrow comes on the market and it's 200,000 less than yours, it's gonna set the new bar, and people are gonna be wondering, why is yours at this? If a house tomorrow comes on the market and it's 100,000 over, you're looking like a great deal. So like everything is timing. Everything is timing. And if nothing's on the market, like you're gonna have a challenge with the appraisal if you're somebody that is selling like a unicorn in a market. Okay. So all of these tools will help you be able to see, is the market up? Is the market down? How many homes are on the market? I love, Dave did the work, and I hope some of you really just, do a side thing and go on your MLS and just check, hey, how many homes are listed in my town right now? How many are under contract, and how many have closed since the beginning of this year? You'd be surprised how little inventory has actually exchanged hands. And so that should change your game. Start looking at who did those sales. Start looking at maybe how they marketed. Start thinking about like, where did they get those deals from? I promise you it's going to be in personal relationships. So now when we take a look here, you need to build your expertise after you know your market. So becoming a real estate expert of choice, building your expertise. How do you think you can do that? What do you think you need to do in order to become that real estate expert of choice? Well, you have to tell people about it, right? You have to be able to then to be able to share it. You have to be able to tell your story, because the best agent is a secret agent. I mean, I know some best agents that are secret agents. And I say, come on, you got to get out there. You got to tell people that I'm up to bat. I'm ready to go. Put me in, coach. So, 4 steps to building the expertise. Learn the market, right? Learning the market. What does learning the market mean? Knowing your lore, language of real estate. And what we were just speaking about is a bit of language of real estate, knowing those stats, knowing how to use a chart the way we were using it, going into let's just see something going into here into Monmouth MLS and having a conversation about this with the homeowner as to what does this mean? Look, a year ago, we had 4,000 listings on and we were selling 2,000 listings, right? Now we're in a market where we have 3,000 listings on and pending sold. The solds are 2,000. So now it's a much different percentage, 25% or 33%. We're starting to close that gap. So those are conversations where you can have the language of real estate. We also have the language of real estate in our offices. So in our offices, and I'm not sure, Ashley, you can tell me if every office does this. If not, we can maybe ask for a general one. But typically, if the market, let's say the market had 3,000 listings and the market sold 2,000 of those listings. Well, they sold 66% of their inventory. So that was it. 66% of our listings sell. But if in our own company, we had 100 listings and 90 of them sold, then we would be able to say, well, 90% of our listings sell, where the market is yielding 66% of the listings sell. We're outpacing the market by 20 something percent. Right? You feel me on that? There's the market numbers. Here's another one is list to sell price, right? So if you take a look in the MLS and statistics and you look at the list to sell price ratio, most things are selling at 96%, 99%, 102%. If you take a look at a specific town and you take a look and you say, well, what's the average day on market and what is the average list to sell ratio? And let's say their average day on market was 27 days and their average list to sell was 96%. Well, let's look at yours. If you only had 3 listings and your average day on market is 5 compared to 30, and your average list to sell, even though you only had a few listings, is 103% compared to the MLS that says 96% is what the market is yielding, well, then you are outperforming that market by 9%, getting your sellers 9% more than what the market is yielding. And you're selling it, I think I said 27, and you're selling it 24 days faster. That is how you make your language of real estate work for you. Those of you who have not had a lot of listings, 2 listings, and it was in this market, you're probably looking really good over list to sell price ratio, and you're probably in a short day on market. And you should use that at your listing appointment. My personal stats are, now somebody's probably going to be afraid to say like, well, what if they ask you, how many houses is that? Like, it feels like a million, but I mean, it's just a few this year because the inventory has been down. Right? So you got to find ways to navigate around those questions. All right, so let me just show you one more thing because I know when I talk numbers, some people don't get everything, which is okay. I just need you guys to go and do this work because this is where the magic's gonna happen. So also when you go into menu, if you go into statistics, you could just take a look at market summary. Market summary is going to give you a quick snapshot of all of them. Number of new listings, prices, absorption rate in months, right? So look, I told you nothing ever went over. We haven't even gone over 2.2 months in the last 12 months in the MLS. List to sold ratio. We dipped in the months of February. You were able to get something at 96% in the winter months. These are winter month closings. And that's another something, guys. When you take a look at this, average day on market went up. Why did it go up? Because these are winter months. January and February closings are winter months. When do you need to market something in order for it to close in March? December, right? Yeah. December, January, you get your contract, it goes under contract, you're closing February, March. So understand when you see those numbers, and this is what you have to explain to buyers and sellers too. When you see those numbers hit that, oh, the closing happened in July. Great, that meant that that property probably went under contract in April, which means that seller was pricing it in probably March. So if we're talking about today, no September, I'm sitting here talking to a seller, it is relevant, but that's where you then have to go back to what is the price increasing month over month in my market? Is it the national 4% year? Is it 3.5%? Is it 15%? Because how is my market month over month reacting? All right. So now the language of real estate is one, and then oops, sorry. Knowing your business, notice changes over time in your personal business. Oh, that's when I got an assistant. Oh, that's when I was sick for a few months. Oh, because that's going to be your language of real estate. That is your multi-year trend. Learn your clientele is the second part of becoming that expert. Who are your buyers and who are your sellers? What does the market benefit your clients, and does the market put your clients at risk? Talk to me a bit about that. Who are your buyers and who are your sellers? Does anybody have an idea of who your buyer is and who your seller is? So like Gabe, you just said something before is, could you get that presentation in Spanish? I'm assuming that you speak Spanish because I heard you speaking to Yolanda before, but I'm assuming you speak Spanish and that would benefit your clients, yes or no?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And do you have any material that is in Espanol?
Right now I'm like working on that. Just basically doing some like PowerPoint slides in Spanish.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working.
Okay. Well, you could combine with we're in Port Amboy and we have some decks that are in Spanish. But we're gonna need to collaborate and create those decks anyway, so that a customer who only speaks Spanish or prefers to speak in Spanish, it's just more comfortable for them. So I know Yolanda and I worked on that when we did our presentation for our home buyer seminar. So that's something we could definitely collaborate on.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
sorry, no, because I was talking to Crystal Trubato from
Yep.
Spring Lake,
Krista?
and then yeah, because I basically I'm about to make the switch to KW.
Okay,
I was just
great.
waiting for my check from my old brokerage. So
Welcome.
basically, yeah, thanks. So basically, I had this buyer who I needed to meet with him. And then basically I went to Crystal and she just gave me like a little rundown, but I had to like switch it to Spanish. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like double.
Yeah, we do have lots of tools though. I mean, just on one more thing on Spanish is NAREP, which is National Association of Real Estate Professionals. It's an organization that a couple of our loan officers are also involved with. But NAREP is a really great place to find. I know we have Spanish speaking materials out of NAREP. It's not a KW thing. It's a real estate professional organization. You should definitely be part of it in your specific county. Guys, you got to be part of your local real estate board events, local real estate functions that you can make it to. Plug in. Absolutely plug in. All right. So who are your buyers and sellers? Talk to me a bit of who else could be your buyers and sellers. Some of you who've understood what it looks like. Maybe it's investors. I'm going to give you some answers. Maybe it's investors, right? Like I've really kind of got this investor thing going. Maybe it's multifamily buyers. When you have one multifamily buyer and you start looking for properties, you just start pushing them out, you'll get other multifamily buyers. Maybe when my mom retired, a lot of her friends were retiring and they were then selling to move to the adult community, probably in Jackson or Monroe, right? So that was the buyer. The buyer was the seller from Manalapan who was closing up their family house and going into an adult community? Is that where you are, is that your natural sphere? Where is your sphere of influence right now? Are they 25 years old and they want to buy their first place, or they're renters right now? Or are you the person who's helping all of your friends, college kids, figure out like what their first house is? Like, that's what I mean by who are your buyers and sellers. Sometimes we go so wide and we're grabbing at everything and anything that the reality is it's right in front of us. And if we were to go deep, the same message needs to be heard to the first-time home buyer in Manalapan and the first-time home buyer in Perth Amboy. So now you have a deck of tons of first-time home buyer stuff, and you could just keep swapping it out and using it with each other. Then you have referrals, right? So referrals, sphere of influence. Does all my business come from my friends and family? Maybe I should do a warm friends and family type of give back. I'm going to do they love when I cook my chocolate chip cookies I'm going to do that and package it and give it to them all. They're going to appreciate that. Now, would the neighbors on your street appreciate that? Probably not. They're not like, oh, those are your chocolate chip cookies. How about if you have a nice recipe that your family and friends love and you put it in one of those mason jars and that's your giveaway at Christmas time, at Hanukkah time, at holiday time, right? That's a way to connect with who's your audience, because when you find out who your audience is, then you realize what you're going to do with them to stay in touch with them. Things that matter, things that benefit them. How many of you might be thinking, because I'm throwing some ideas around, unless you got some, throw it out there. Firefighter, teachers, you came from the teaching background. You're going to go and see what kind of mortgage products are offered for firefighters, police officers, EMT, first responders. I'm looking at beautiful Kathy. She worked in the film industry. So, she's connected with different camera crews. And so bringing coffee to a camera crew when they're starving and they're thirsty and they're cold, that might be something that I don't think of, but she goes, you know what? I'm going to make some rounds to my peeps. There was somebody that just first responder, they would bring donuts and coffee, and that was the thing in the town. I think Carly started picking that up too, Carly Ringer. Anybody else, something come to mind of who your customer is, that seller, that buyer? I'll tell you personally, I'm 45. So at 45, mom is 72. And so that leaves a real prime age of mom's leaving her house, or some of them are, some of them aren't. And where are they going and what are the options? So let me have some knowledge of the different communities. So if I had just gotten that started, I'd probably, to Joanna's point, go preview some of those adult communities. I was just out there today in Clearbrook. And I got to tell you, for $250, you can find a garage, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and the community looks really nice and clean. Right? It gives them a nice community to plug into rather than a single family house. And no. But that's what I would do if that was my market, if that's what I understood it as. If it was multifamilies, I'd go out and look at them. I'd go start driving some neighborhoods. All right. So you got to know your market. You got to know your client. You got to know who that is. You got to know what the benefit is to them. What would benefit them? What kind of seminar could I hold that it would benefit them? And would this market put my client at risk? Like, is this not a good market for my clients right now? My clients are investors. And right now, with the way that things are going up, 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 they're just going to hold their money. So I know I might be slow with those investors right now. But guess what? When it turns, am I positioning myself so that they're going to call me to say, hey, and they shouldn't even have to call me. I should be calling them to let them know, seeing a turn. I'm seeing things change. I'm going to keep you in the know. Okay. So that's how you would know. I see you, Greg. You would know, like, are my buyers on pause? Are my sellers on pause? Should I just be telling people, hey, you know what? These buyers should be really renting this year. If I'm working a college town, should I be having a seminar for on homecoming or whatever, parent night, parent weekends, where I'm doing an open house to show everybody down at Monmouth University what it's like to buy a house around here so that they could charge their friends and own a house and take, it's just so many opportunities. Greg, what were you going to share?
No, I was going to say in the value proposition, right? So I was shooting a bunch of videos today for agents, in our Spring Lake location. I want to invite
Yes.
everybody that's on this call to come and shoot it. And one of the things I'm trying to coach them through what you want to get on video, it's understanding that target market that you're going after. First time home buyer, step up buyer, 55 and older, vacation home. Like, what's your demographic that you're going after? But the thing that resonates with me is like first time home buyers. So I sent the flyer to Mary Beth because we were talking about this on the call last Wednesday. That's about down payment assistance. It's available in the state of New Jersey, and it gives some specifics on it. Like, do the home buyers that are first time home buyers know that they can get $10,000 to $15,000 from the state for their down payment and or closing costs? Like those types of programs and that type of money exists. They just need to know how to access it.
That's right. Now, Greg, I do want to tell you, I did put it into the family chat right here. It's in the family Facebook. It says share it with your clients. And so it is an image, but I'm going to email it out after this session as a follow-up with them. So that's the down payment assistance where we did have our client was able to get that real fast. Another thing that I heard before in knowing your clients, and there's a great agent, her name is Sue Adler. She's from Summit, New Jersey. The #1 agent KW for lots of years. She does not transact anymore. She's been out of production for quite a few years. But here's something inspirational. The 17-year-old kid that she hired back in the day to be her admin is now the CEO of her company, and Scott Schumann runs her team beautifully. So there's really amazing opportunity in real estate. So Sue, her biggest thing was she has, I would think it was called Talk It Direct or Tell It Direct, where she would have sellers and buyers, and she would interview them on a stage for the community, not real estate agents. She'd be the moderator. I don't know if it was Jeff or Dave who said this about, getting the sellers and the buyers' perspective of what they think marketing is like, what they think staging means, what they think buying and selling in this market, what are the challenges they're having. And so she would have these seminars, and I just saw her go back to it because that was a big thing for the community. Educating them before they even have to make that decision will give them the tools, the resources, and then when it's time for them to make that decision, they wouldn't go anywhere else but you. So definitely some advanced ideas, but look, like I said, I love a good challenge. Tell me and I'll help you make it happen. Listen to individuals. Take a grassroots approach. It's kind of what I think Chris Waddell said before, listening to then answering, not just talking to speak. Learn where your sphere gets information from and be present. So learning where your sphere gets information from is, hey, what site do you use to search your real estate needs? Hey, where do you go for your articles? Like, I could set you up on a great search. They're still going to go to Zillow. They're still going to go to realtor.com. They're still going to get outside of your world. So have that talk with them that share those articles with me. If you see something that interests you, if you see something, say something, right? So, and be present. When you're with a client, be present. Shut the phone off. Keep the phone near you for emergencies only. Don't be answering texts or calls when you're with another client. It's rude. Unless you absolutely have to. So keep the headlines in context, read past the headlines, and know your numbers. Now, if you don't know what the headlines are and they're telling you, then you have a real problem. You're going to have a hard time convincing them that you know more than they do. Hold on before we have a tragedy. Hold on a second. Okay. Make sure. There we go. Okay. So because we do have to debunk some of their myths. Okay, so in that aspect of knowing your clients, knowing the clientele, what ahas may have you had there? What is something that was said that maybe makes you think differently, or you're going to take a different action because of something we just discussed? Just put something on your list of things to do in the next 30 days. Well, you guys can throw it in the chat if you do have something.
Keep
And
up
I
on
would
the
say,
best.
what'd you say, Mark?
Keep up on the statistics,
Yeah.
definitely.
And Greg, what was that one stat that we had on a slide? It was it came from Megacamp. I think it was 70% of people have 50% or more equity in their home.
Exactly. Between the people that own the property in full or have a high equity position. Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, so that's a really cool stat. And that was just a slide that if I could, I'll find it, I'll push it out there as well. 70% of people, 70% of homeowners are sitting with at least 50% equity in their home. That is a conversation starter. What does that mean? Well, I have equity. Where am I going? Dream with me a little bit. Where are you going? Right? So that is something to get people thinking and to prompt some conversations. We're just looking for some conversations. Okay, so this part here is in your resources that you have, and I showed you a whole bunch of resources. These two are the apps. You should have both of your apps downloaded to your phone. The app with the red and the white is your commands. So it's basically being able to utilize commands and all of the cool functions in commands from your phone when you download it. This one here, the red with the white. And then the other one is the white with the red, which is how agents search properties, or how customers search properties. And this here is the white with the red. It instead of the red with the white, you got a white with the red, and that is the app that you would go ahead and share out with clients. So when you look for houses, if they're sending you Zillow listings, you just go on your own app and you just click the share button and share it over from your own app. So if you need help with that, we could definitely help you. Just reach out, send me it, and I'll send you to Ashley. And then establish your business on social media. So as part of your success system involves social media and other enrichments. So here's the 10-5-1, and it's 10 likes, 5 comments, and 1 direct message. So 10 likes, 5 comments, and 1 direct message, but they can't be on the same people. It can't be the same 3 people that you're doing this to. Same 10 people. And once again, it's 10 conversations, 10 contacts added, and 10 handwritten notes. Following up the handwritten notes after the conversations, after the reach out, is such a sweet seal. And then the 10-5-1, which I know I was probably botching up until we got to this point. So it's 10 likes, 5 comments, and 1 back and forth. Okay. Other enrichments: studying your market center, previewing homes, taking an MLS course. MLS does have some really great courses, but we do a lot here. Visit and hold open houses. If you're not hosting one, you can go visit some. Study the lore, go into that MLS and start to really understand your town specifically. Read the MREA, and what else? Like I said, I am going to be putting in the Shift book. And in the Shift book here, we talk about, is it a buyer's market, is it a balanced market, or is it a seller's market? In the Shift book here, what happens is in a market, let me show you this little chart right here. So when you're in a market that's shrinking in units, the market starts out the first graph, and then it starts to shrink. Let's look at the last 3 years. It's shrank in units. We did 6 million sales, 5 million sales, 4 million sales. We're losing units. Volume is going up, but we're losing units. And so the market, let's say we had 20% of the market. Let's say 10 houses sold in the neighborhood, and you sold 2 of them. Well, in order for you to sell 2 in the next market, you're going to have more market share, because now only 7 of them sold, but you still need to sell 2 because you still need to make your money. And then the next year, let's say this year, only 5 of them sell, but you still sell 2. And now you got 50% of the market. What happens is, in a down market like this, where the units are going away, you have to stick to, I still sell my units. I still sell my units. Because as the market starts to come back, then you stick on I got to keep on that 50%. I need 50% of the market. and you start to grow with the market when it comes back. Don't be afraid of that shrinking market. The shrinking market actually really gives us an opportunity to sharpen our skills, really sharpen our skills. So we're looking at a recap right here is know your market, the type of market, the inventory in the market, interest rates, the economic factors. You might want to go to some city council meetings, some zoning meetings, if you're really interested in what's going on in the city, the town, the school board. That might be something that's a hot attraction, and now it's all getting changed. Somebody's out of office. What's it going to do to the school system? That happens, right? And other market factors. And you build your expertise, which is learning the market, learning your clientele. And the only way you're going to learn your clientele is if you spend time with your clientele. So having a girls' night out and inviting your friends that are in your database is a way to connect with your market. And then why not ask them, hey, if I'm going to send you guys listings, like, how would you want it? Through text? Or what would be of value to you guys if I started sending you something? Like, I got to do something. My coach is my coach is telling me I got to do something with my friends. I'm your coach, guys. Okay, so learn the clientele, listen to the individuals, and keep the headlines in context. Okay. So how confident do you feel? I mean, that was a lot of context to talk about seller's market, buyer's market, numbers, statistics, but who can share that you feel a little more confident knowing that there's all that out there to go look at and do so that you can really show up to the table as a expertise and a professional? Anybody want to share any confidence gaining that just happened for the last 90 minutes? You can
I
throw it
would
in the
say
chat too.
that I just feel more comfortable looking at Flex MLS and realizing we can have those groups,
Yeah, great.
those maps that we can show.
Absolutely. And I would just say because I shared with you guys my world tour of Mary Beth. I've been in so many different markets. Here's how I start. I go, okay, Mary Beth is going to, where's Mary Beth going to go to next? I'm going to go to one that I actually know. Let's just say I'm going to go to Manalapan. The first thing I'm going to do is, what the hell's on the market in Manalapan? Let me go right to this map. And I mean, Trevor taught me this. I had no idea that you could actually use these things and put circles around stuff. But you'd have to go to Trevor's class for that because, I'd have to learn how to do it. Now I go, okay, where is all of this? Now I want to start looking what's going on over in Englishtown. And I start picking some of these apart. And I realize, man, that thing sold for $357 back in 01 and 18. It closed for $570. And it just closed or it's active now for $980. Like, yeah, Sandpiper Drive on the corner, number 1. Right? So you start looking at the market a little different. And then you go in here and you say, okay, well, show me not just the active. I want to see what's coming soon. I want to see what's active, what's pending, and what's closed. And it's going to automatically do it for the last year. Well, there's 689 properties. But let's just say I go, well, show me the properties. I want to see the properties and I want to see it in a list form. Because now 980, now I'm going to take the price. I'm going to sort ascending. I don't know if that's going to flip it upward, upside down. Okay, so right now is at the highest price that we have, and active is 980 in Manalapan. Okay, and I can go down and I could, actually, it looks like it might be the highest. Oh no, then we got 1 million. Oh, then we go into closed. Are you telling me that the lowest is 900? Anyway, see, this is how I can get lost in here. But you start diving into it and you start pulling it apart and they say, well, how many are 4 bedrooms? How many 4-bedroom single family houses? How many have pools? How many have this? And you start looking on the map. Oh, it looks like they don't have any. If I want a 2-car garage, I got to go over here. If I want a basement, I got to go over here. You knock out basement and you're like, oh my gosh, I just knocked out half of Manalapan's houses because there's high water table. And so you start realizing, well, this guy wants this. It looks like this, but it has a basement. Will he take a back room? And what's the question you need to ask the client? What's so important about that to you? Tell me a little more about that. What's important about that basement? Right? Tell me a little bit about that. Oh, well, I want a place where the kids can go down. Oh, I want a place where I can go play my music. Oh, well, would a back room work? Would a room over the garage work? If I found a house with a big, great room, would that satisfy you? Or does it have to be in the basement? Right? And they go, I'm open. Okay, well, then let's not put basement on the search criteria because it's going to knock out about half the houses in this certain section of Manalapan. You're not going to know that unless you get out there and you start seeing stuff. You're not going to know that unless you actually look at some seller's disclosures, you ask questions. So, and I also, there's not lots of new construction, but it's always great to go into some new construction to see what they're doing, you know, the different types of builds. One of the things that I learned over the years was there's a difference in style when you see a 1960s house compared to a 1970, right? In 1970, we do see a master bathroom come into play, but it's small. And then in 1985, we see some big master bathrooms and big master bedrooms, but we see really tiny second and third bedrooms. And then we start seeing the double-story entry and the double-story family room that came in after 2000. And you start realizing, you look at a house and you're like, that's all wasted space and that's all garage. That house ain't that big. Right? And you're able to look at a house and go, that's a 3,000 square foot house. That's a 2,800 square foot house. Half of that thing's garage. Right? So I want you guys to be students of the market. You got to get out there. You got to touch it. But let's talk about what ahas, because it's 7:30. I'm actually getting you out of here on time. Give me some ahas for this very numbered geared stats. Mark said, got to look at the stats, got to study the stats. What else? Is anybody going to go do something from this session?
I'm gonna print some stats because I feel like I could never find what I'm looking for, so that helps.
Yeah, and then once you print them, you're smart. You'll be able to study them. And if you need me, just text me. I'm gonna put my
And I would like,
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Georgette.
I would like to have like a seminar at my church that talks about like the first time home buyer program. And I would love to have a mortgage person there to explain to them better about this down payment assistance for them. Because I have some people who are looking to buy, but they would like to know. So I would like to
Okay,
have
Georgette. There's a guy I know. His name is what the heck is his name? It's Greg Wareham. It's Greg.
Georgette, let me know when we want to do it.
Yeah, Greg will be great. He's fantastic, Georgette. I don't know if you went to the seminar for the wealth building, but he was the main presenter and he was just spot on.
Yes, I would like to do it in October about like the fourth Sunday. I was thinking that Sunday to see,
Okay.
but I'm trying to get permission from my church first if they would be open to that.
That'd be
Yep.
great, Georgette. I know you have my email address. So
Thank you.
just that or call me and we'll schedule. We'll put it together.
Perfect.
thank
I
you.
love it.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Thank you.
Once
My
once
pleasure.
you do it once, Georgette, you're gonna be like, I should do this all the time, at least twice a year. Make sure that I'm touching the people that I care about the most. I'm spending my spiritual time with them. I gotta pour into them my knowledge. So I can empower them so they can go do the glory of God.
Yes, thank you.
Amen. So
Amen.
one more aha, or you're gonna take action on something.
Mary Beth, what was Greg's email again? I'm sorry, this is Lena. I also want to reach out about that down payment.
Thank you. Greg's gonna go ahead and put it in the chat, or he's gonna email
Yeah.
you. But I'll
Thank
put it in
you.
the follow-up email as well.
I'm gonna
Thank
use
you
my
so much.
technical aptitude to figure out how to put it in the chat right now.
Go ahead.
I
do
can put it
that.
in the chat for you, Greg.
Thank
Could
you,
you?
Ashley. Hamisi, I
Thanks,
see you,
Ashley.
and then I saw Kathy. So let's go Hamisi, and then Kathy can close us out.
Hey, Greg, I just have one question. I have a couple who they're older and they both own homes. They want to sell both their homes and buy one.
Mhm.
How would, as far as like the first time home buyers thing, would they qualify for something like that, or how does that work?
For that program, Hamisi, they wouldn't qualify for that if they're selling because they're inherently not a first-time home buyer. So you have
Oh,
to
they-
not
right,
own a
right, I
home
got
for at least 3 years.
Right.
However, is one of them, if it's a couple, are they both on the mortgage? Because if one person is a
No,
first-time home buyer,
they each own homes separately.
I say.
They
So
want
they're
to sell.
both not qualified.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wouldn't work, but feel free to reach out to me, call me, we can discuss it in more detail.
Okay.
And my
Yep.
email, Ashley was just kind enough to put my email in there because I'm not that bright, but I'm gonna put my phone number.
greg.wareham@movement.com. And I'll put it
Uh-huh.
also in my follow-up email. Gabe, did you have a question pertaining to that? And then Kathy was gonna close
Yeah.
us.
Is there like a income limit that they have to meet, or doesn't matter?
No, that's a great question, Gabe. It's typically about $140,000 or under.
So
So
most
there's
people
that's
two
hit it.
different
Is
types
that-
of first-time homebuyer. Go ahead, Gabe, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Is that for like couple, like a joint couple's income,
It's
or
a couple,
single?
but it's county specific. So depending on what their county they're in, the average is about 140 to 150 a year. And unfortunately on those programs, Gabe, because they're facilitated at the state level, it's a hard stop. So if the income, for an example, in the town they're looking at is $143,500, it can't be a dollar over that or they will not approve it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So we will definitely have you back, and it sounds like a few of you need to have some one-on-ones with Greg because he's super knowledgeable, been around for a long time and can help lots of people. All right, Kathy, what were you gonna give us?
So as far as knowing like your
13,
market,
please.
I
Yep, regular.
think I don't know if it was you or someone else who told me, but is there a way to have the hot sheet like sent to you every morning with
Mhm.
like certain information so you're up to date with everything?
Yes, yeah, so you
Sure.
can go into those settings. Number one is you could just put yourself on a saved search. And that saved search, you could send it to yourself as the client. You can also go on and set your hot sheet to a specific criteria. And that hot sheet every morning when you go on the MLS, it will just be reading your hot sheet. So if you'd like to have a hot sheet demonstration, let's get that. Ashley, if you just put that on our little chat, I mean, on our chat, on our list of things, because that's a technical thing and I would botch it up. But yes.
I just set myself on the hot sheet email. I get it every morning now at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Great.
that's what I
So
want, the
Ashley, maybe
email.
maybe you can just go live and maybe we can do that together and then we'll just have that video and we'll put it on my my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Because I have one now, right? So and we could leave it there as a playlist, like all the resource answers. All right, perfect. Guys, thank you so much. So next week is not next week, next session, which is Wednesday, is going to be one where you really do have to come knowing yourself. It's about you developing your value proposition so that you're going to have some clarity going into a conversation as to what is your strength with that customer and with customers and clients in general. Like, who are you and why should they choose you? Why may they not be a match for you? Because this is who you are and this is who they are. But understanding who we are and setting our standards is a lot, it's a prerequisite for being able to set expectations, right? So if we set our standards, then it's a whole lot easier to sit down with a seller and share with them our expectations as well as the buyer. So it is going to be all about defining your value proposition, and we're going to be going into breakouts and chatting with each other and sharing. And hopefully some of us might see something in somebody else that somebody else doesn't see in themselves, which is what I always seem to find when we do this exercise this way, so anyway, thank you so much. There will be a follow-up email. We'll send out this recording. Once again, if you can't find that email, just go to the YouTube channel and all the recordings will be there for this session. And thank you, Greg, again for coming. Thank you, Ashley, for helping. Thank you all for being here. And I just encourage you, I implore you to go out there and have those 10 contacts, 10 conversations, 10 database, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and make the needle move for yourself. Okay. Go win the rest of the week. Have a great rest of the week. See you on Wednesday.
Hey, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Night.
you so much.
You're
Bye.
welcome.